Last month, I allowed Snapchat's AI to choose my October reads, and I really enjoyed filming that video. I thought it was so fun, and I loved letting go of control and just letting something else choose my monthly TBR. So I thought for November, I would do the same exact thing and allow Snapchat's AI to choose my reads for this month. I'm doing it a little bit different this time around because I have some physical books here. They're all on the floor in front of me that I want to get through that are part of my physical TBR, but there are also books that I don't own yet or that are on Kindle Unlimited that I want to read, but I don't know when to get to those books. So I'm going to include all three categories in this video when I ask Snapchat's AI to choose my reads for the month. Where is my phone? Here it is. I have one cat right here on the bed, and then I have another cat at my feet who's currently purring. Let's open up Snapchat. I literally don't use Snapchat for anything else except for this video. Let's go to AI, turn on screen recording. The first pairing of books that I'm going to be asking Snapchat's AI to choose from is Still Life by Louise Penny and then Bad Mother by Mia Sheridan. Both of these are within the same category of murder mystery, which I didn't know Mia Sheridan wrote murder mysteries. I don't know if Bad Mother is her first attempt at that genre, but I've only read Archer's Voice from her, which I really enjoyed that book. I'm kind of curious to check out her murder mystery book. Still Life by Louise Penny revolves around a chief inspector, and he is basically called to the scene to investigate a grisly crime. A woman named Jane was murdered in a small town on Thanksgiving morning. He's basically trying to investigate the murder of this woman. I want to read this month because it takes place during like Thanksgiving week, and I thought that would be really fun since Thanksgiving is this month. And then the second book, which is Bad Mother by Mia Sheridan. I don't know why I'm still holding this book up. So it goes, when Sienna Walker is nearly fired from the NYPD, the last thing she expects is a second chance in the one place she vowed never to return to. But she can't afford to turn down the job offer, even if a painful familial past and a broken engagement hardly make Reno, Nevada home sweet home. It's made even less sweet by Sienna's first case, a serial killer with a curious fixation on her. Along with his victims, the killer leaves perplexing clues and chilling journal entries addressed to Sienna detailing the murders he claims his mother committed. The case continues to get personal when her ex-fiance is called out by the killer as well. Whoever is behind the murder, Sienna can only be sure of one thing: it's someone close to home. It sounds like a really good book. Again, very curious to see how Mia Sheridan writes murder mysteries, so I'm kind of leaning towards Bad Mother, but let's allow Snapchat AI to make that decision for me. My phone is dying. I hope it lasts for this entire video. Okay, hi, can you choose my next read for me? Should I read Still Life or should I read Bad Mother? I recommend reading Still Life by Louise Penny. It is a captivating mystery novel. Thank you. That's not the book I wanted to read. But that's okay. So I guess we're reading Still Life. Ah. That's upsetting. Okay, that's okay. The next two books that I have here are Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo and Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard. The Glass Sword is the second book in the Red Queen series, and then Crooked Kingdom is the second book in the Six of Crows duology. I'm currently working on finishing every series that I'm in the middle of. Either one of these works in my favor because I need to finish out both series. If you're unfamiliar with The Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard, it basically follows a main character named Mare. In this series, society is divided between reds and silvers. Mare was born as a red, so she is a servant to the silvers until she figures out that she has a special ability of her own, which makes her essentially a silver, because every silver has a magical ability or a magical power of their own. So she's basically trying to fight for the reds. She's trying to make it that they have rights, have as much rights as the silvers, and trying to bring down the silvers. I feel like that's the best way I can describe this series. It's red versus silver. And then the Six of Crows series, I honestly don't remember much because I read Six of Crows back in April. We're now in November, but I know it follows a main character named Kat Brecker. It actually follows a number of different characters, which can get a little confusing, but it follows Chris Brecker and his crew. In the first book, they were basically trying to pull off this heist and things didn't go as they planned. So in the second book, they are dealing with the aftermath of the first book and of their botched heist. I really enjoyed Six of Crows. I enjoyed The Red Queen as well. So again, I'm happy with either of these choices. Let's see what Snapchat's AI thinks. Should I read Crooked Kingdom or should I read The Glass Sword? Hey there, I'd recommend reading Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. It is a thrilling fantasy sequel. All right, there we have it, you guys. I will be reading Crooked Kingdom. One day I'll get to this book. I've DNF'd Glass Sword like a million times at this point. One day I'll get to it. The next two book options are books that I actually don't physically own. One I either have to buy on Amazon or go to the bookstore. The second one is actually on Kindle Unlimited. They are Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I have seen this book literally everywhere and I've been wanting to read it for a while, but I just haven't, mainly because I know that the second book in the series I think comes out this month in November in a few days. So I've been putting off reading Fourth Wing for that reason, because I want to read each book back to back. I didn't want to read Fourth Wing and then have to wait months for the second book to come out. I'm kind of hoping the AI chooses Fourth Wing, but I don't know. I've heard so many great things about that book. The second book is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is another fantasy book, I think it's fantasy, that I've heard so many great things about. So I feel like these are two really good options and I honestly can't go wrong with either of them. So if you're unfamiliar with Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross, it basically goes, when two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war among gods, seal their fate forever. There you have it. Very ominous, I feel like. Okay, and then The Fourth Wing. I've actually never read the synopsis of this book, but I know it's very popular. 20-year-old Violet was supposed to enter the scribe quadrant, living a quiet life among books and history. Now the commanding general, also known as her tough-as-talons mother, has ordered Violet to join the hundreds of candidates striving to become the elite of Navarre, dragon riders. But when you're smaller than everyone else and your body is brittle, death is only a heartbeat away, because dragons don't bond to fragile humans, they incinerate them. With fewer dragons willing to bond than cadets, most would kill Violet to better their own chances of success. The rest will kill her just for being her mother's daughter. Like Xaden, the most powerful and ruthless wing leader in the Riders Quadrant. She'll need every edge her wits can give her just to see the next sunrise. Yet with every day that passes, the war outside grows more deadly. Even worse, Violet begins to suspect leadership is hiding a terrible secret. I'm very curious. I'm also a little nervous that I'm going to hate it, but we'll see. Let's go back to our buddy on Snapchat. Should I read Fourth Wing or should I read Divine Rivals by Rebecca? Two Rebeccas. I'd recommend reading Divine Rivals. It's an exciting fantasy read, so I guess I'm reading Fourth Wing in December. Who knows? All right, so there we have it. That is the third book, Divine Rivals. Let me make a note of it so I don't forget. Next up we have Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. I've been putting this book on my monthly TBRs for months now and I just haven't gotten around to reading it. Will this be the month that I finally read it? Who knows? But I am pairing this one against Taken by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd, which is on Kindle Unlimited. Taken by a Sinner is a mafia romance, and I've really been into dark romances. I don't know if that one's a dark romance, it sounds like it, but I've really been into like a bad boy versus good girl, although I don't think the female main character in that book is an actual good girl. I don't know, it sounded very interesting, so I kind of want to read it. This one, Never Never, follows two main characters who I guess have been in love since the age of 14, but one morning they wake up and they can't remember their lives. They can't remember that they were once a couple, and they now have to work together to try to uncover their past. And through them uncovering their past together, they start to question if they should have ever been together in the first place. I've heard really good things about Never Never. Haven't read it yet, but we'll see if Snapchat's AI chooses it for me this month. Should I read Never Never or should I read Taken by a Sinner? I suggest reading Never Never by Colleen Hoover. It is a captivating contemporary romance. Guess I'm finally reading Never Never. I was actually hoping for Taken by a Sinner, but that's okay. Maybe I'll still have time to read that one. The next two books that I have are actually library books. This is the last month that I can hold on to these books. I'll end up reading one and then returning the second one unread because I don't have time to read both books, unfortunately. But the first book is Lost by James Patterson and James O'Born, and then the second book is The Return by Nicholas Sparks. I think Snapchat's AI actually chose Lost by James Patterson for me last month, but I never got around to reading it. I am curious to see if he'll choose Lost again. This one is basically a detective type of book. The Miami detective is working to bring down two Russian mobsters who are being accused of human trafficking. And then The Return by Nicholas Sparks is a story of a injured Navy doctor and two women whose secrets will change the course of his life. I've actually started both of these books and reenact both. I haven't really been able to get into them, but we'll see which one Snapchat chooses for me. The Return. So I'm finally going to read my first ever Nicholas Sparks book. I have never read one of his books before, and I feel like he's an OG romance writer, so we'll see how that one goes. We have one last pairing. I have Lotus by Jennifer Hartman, which if you don't know, Lotus, I think it's like a spin-off slash sequel to Still Beating, which is one of her most popular books. It is a very heavy, dark romance, and let me tell you, I ate that book up. I read it last week on Kindle and I want to buy it and read it again. I want the physical copy just so I can read it again. I freaking loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Obsessed. Read it within 24 hours, which reading a book within 24 hours is very hard with a 6-month-old, but somehow I managed. I stayed up late reading that book even though I probably should have slept, but it's okay because it was worth it. There are so many trigger warnings that have to come with that book, but if you can get past the trigger warnings, oh my god, 10 out of 10. Loved it. Lotus actually follows a character that was introduced very briefly in Still Beating, and it involves a main character who has been found after I think like 23 or 25 years. The book involves him basically trying to get his life back, or not even get his life back, of trying to acclimate back into society and trying to figure out where life is going to take him now that he's been freed. It is a romance book, and then you have a second character. She knew the main character who was kidnapped when they were little, and she's basically trying to help him cope with everything that he went through. I'm sure there are a million trigger warnings that have to go with this book as well, but since I love Still Beating so much, I want to read Lotus. I'm pairing Lotus with NOS 482. I know there's a way to pronounce it, but I always forget. This one is by Joe Hill. It's actually a horror book. I should have read this in October. I don't know why I didn't, but I've had this book for over a year now and I just haven't gotten into it. Like I said, it's a horror book. It follows a main character named Victoria and a serial killer, a child serial killer. Victoria actually crossed paths with this child serial killer when she was younger and escaped, and now that she's an adult, she actually comes across him again and she has to escape him for a second time. The premise of this book sounds really good and interesting. I don't know why I just haven't picked it up, but maybe November is finally the month that I do. Honestly, you guys, if you haven't read Still Beating and you can get past the trigger warnings, read it. So good. I suggest reading NOS 482. It's a gripping thriller that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Right, I was kind of looking forward to Lotus, but that's okay. So there you have it, you guys. These are all of my November reads. So let's do a quick little recap in case I lost you along the way. I will be reading NOS 482 by Joe Hill, Still Life by Louise Penny, The Return by Nicholas Sparks, Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher, Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo, and of course Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I thought I was going to have to order more books, but the AI actually chose books that I already own. That's cool. You get to save money this month, you guys. I'm pretty excited for most of these books. Some of these books I feel like I'm not going to love, or it's going to take me a bit to get into them, but overall I'm looking forward to reading my November picks. Let me know in the comments below what books you are planning to read in November. I would love to know. Also, let me know if you read any of these books. If you did, what were your thoughts? I would also love to know that. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Really hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.